So I'm like, it's just a cat. So I look, I get down, and this cat is literally half and half, like in between the mechanisms of the hide-a-bed.
No.
Why does a good story stay with us for decades and other stories don't stick with us very often?
On Pray for the Devil, I did 19 drafts. And I'll walk you through it. I'm not saying there weren't things that made it better, notes that made it better. I'm not saying that. But
can we be friends? Can we be friends? Can we be friends? Can we be friends? Can we be friends?
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Can We Be Frank, where the whiskey may be on ice, but the talk is always straight up. I'm joined, as always, by Mike, Ruby, and Robert. I'm Derek. And how's everybody doing?
Doing good. Off the back of an England win. Thriving today.
Yeah, which we should clarify. I have no idea when this will be airing, but when we recorded this, big England win in the round of 16?
Yeah.
Round of 16, that's it. I'll talk like I know soccer.
Mexico played very well. It was a very intense game, but
it was very
enjoyable.
close. I caught the end of it. As we're recording, it's the 48th minute of the U.S.-Belgium game. U.S. down by 1. We'll see what happens. I guess when we air this, people will know, but we'll see. But yeah, World Cup, obviously current events here. Anything else personally for anybody? Not to pry.
How was everyone's weekend? How was the happy birthday
recording
America?
right after 4th of July.
250.
Yeah, so that's exciting.
Yeah, the big 250.
We almost killed our cat.
Well, that's not good.
Oh, no.
I sense a story there.
We saved the cat. There is a story there. I was mentioning to the group earlier that my niece and my great niece were visiting from California this weekend, and our great niece spent the night, slept over, so we had our hide-a-bed out, open in the living room, and I was in my office on a Zoom, and I heard screaming. My wife screaming, "Help, help, help." and a cat meowing, it sounded like a cat in a fight is what it sounded like. So my initial thought was, oh my God, it's attacking my great niece. It's like,
oh, no.
So I quickly get off the Zoom and I run out there and I see that my great niece is fine. She's kind of standing off. So I'm like, oh, okay. But the cat's still going crazy. And then my wife has the hide-a-bed like halfway closed.
No.
And the cat is howling. No. And she's like, help, 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 help. And my daughter's out. This is really my daughter's cat. So my daughter's now out at this point, nearly in tears, screaming, what do we do? What do we do? And I'm just like thankful that my great niece is okay. So I'm like, yeah, it's just a cat. So I look, I get down, and this cat is literally half and half, like in between the mechanisms of the hide-a-bed.
No.
Like a guillotine. Like this thing is right. It's going to be severed if we go. And I'm thinking, do we go forward? Do we go back? Like, I'm not an engineer. I don't know. It looked bad either way. Like any way you go, you just hold your breath and you pick a way. Keep folding in or unfold. So I thought, well, let's try. Maybe it kind of looked like if we kept going in, it would release it. Well, it made a sound that was not of this earth. So like, no, that was the wrong choice. So then we backed off. We opened it up and it got out.
Oh.
And he was a little freaked out. And then we watched him closely for, then I Googled the whole situation, and there were things to look out for. Like there was so many, I didn't tell anybody what it could have been. Like you could have ruptured the spleen or the thing, and the internal bleeding, so watched him very carefully. But we're now talking 4 days later, and he's fine.
Yeah, and they can squish into all sorts of different. I've seen them squished to like 6 to their size. So I'm sure I think their organs can move around more than ours can.
Well, his certainly did. It parted like the Red Sea. Like he was just boom, it was over the thing. But he is fine. He's fine.
Yeah,
and he's a fat cat. So I think there was a lot of padding there.
Cats are like that. They find that what was my cat then became my mom's cat. He tried to go into the refrigerator. I caught him, so it's not like he got trapped there. But the one time he did get caught in between the door and screen door, And I didn't know it until I heard him meowing like 3 hours later. So the poor bastard was stuck in there for like 3 hours. But it's his fault because he comes to the door every time you go to leave. So, like, if you're not paying attention. So I actually I had to save in the morning before I'd leave for work. I'd actually have to save half his food so that I could put the food out so that he would stay occupied while I went to the door, or he'd follow me to the door. And I didn't want him getting trapped or, trying to screw around. Anyway.
It's always their fault.
Bribe him with food, yes. And he was a fat cat too, so he loved it. He loved it.
Exactly. So anyways, that was my
It's a good story.
Yeah.
Terrifying. But I'm glad the cat's okay. What's the cat's name?
Yes.
Zero.
Okay.
Zero. He was after the dog and
one of the best movies
Nightmare
ever.
Before Christmas, so I'm not sure the correlation.
Amazing.
But my daughter loved the movie and so named the cat Zero. But we adopted the cat. His name was Gordo.
Fits.
And we thought it was a joke because when we got him, he was very skinny. He was a little skinny cat. So we thought, they named him that like they were being sarcastic. But no, he earned his namesake. He's a big boy.
Amazing. What about the rest of you? How were your weekends? Saving cats? What did you get up to?
Nothing exciting.
Not that exciting,
not really.
apparently.
Yeah, no.
All right.
There's the drone show here in Burbank.
Oh, they do drones now?
They haven't done fireworks for the past 2-3 years.
Oh, I wish that was the
They
case.
do a drone show now.
And TikTok is up in arms about it and saying how lame it is because I think it's because it's so close to the airport, so the drones can't even go that high, so there's not much visibility around. And people are like, when are the fireworks coming back? This show's lame.
Oh, wow.
I know those people complaining don't have dogs and cats at home that are terrified of fireworks.
That's true.
It was a balance between those two people. Two things.
Yes,
exactly.
I mean, I completely get that, but like an hour later, I could have sworn we were in a war zone anyway. So,
oh my gosh.
So at least publicly administered and observed fireworks are 20 minutes and they're done. This went on for like 2 hours. Just boom, 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 boom,
was
boom.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, ours sounded like we were in a war zone from the daytime. Like, why waste money on fireworks during the day? I don't understand it. But they went on till like 3 o'clock in the morning, and that was Friday night and Saturday, and then last night with the football. Yeah, my poor pup was not happy all weekend.
I was going to say, is Kobe not like?
She's happy today. There's not been any today, so we'll see who's got some left over that they're going to be setting off. But yeah, she was terrified. She's just been running up and down the house barking, being like, something's going wrong. Bless her. Yeah, I'm glad that's over.
I always do this. Like, what is fireworks a big thing in the UK or no? Like,
yeah, so we have Guy Fawkes night, November 5th.
Say what? Who's forking night?
Say that again.
Guy Fawkes tried to blow up the Houses of Parliament, and
Guy Fawkes.
Yeah. Dude. Okay.
No, I'm sorry. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, Guy Fawkes.
GUI. Sorry, I'm trying to figure it out.
GUI.
Like a fork?
FAWKES.
Oh,
Fox.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm hearing forks, like guys with forks, like pitchforks. I wasn't sure.
That are there.
Yeah, right. Oh,
so there was a 1605. I'm reading this directly off of Tinder Webnet with all of the important information. Most famous for being the well-known member of the 1605 Gunpowder Plot, an unsuccessful conspiracy by a group of radical English Catholics to assassinate Protestant King James I and blow up the Houses of Parliament. The story that I remember learning about is he tried to blow up the Houses of Parliament and he failed. So now on November 5th, every year we have bonfire night, and you put like what's it called? Like an effigy? Is that the wrong word? Like a stuffed version of this guy, and people do it now of different figures that they dislike in the world. And they put him on a bonfire, and we build bonfires, and we have huge bonfires all around the country, but we also do fireworks on those nights. So it's like once a year, not for the whole weekend over July 4th for America's birthday. But it always used to be good fun for people that don't have dogs. When I was growing up, I was sharing this story over the weekend. The dog that we had growing up, Bieber, she was terrified of fireworks, and she would cower, and we'd like wrap her in blankets. And so Kobe's very similar. She's also terrified. But you guys are... Yeah.
Bieber.
Bieber. Yeah. Biba.
Oh,
She was a
Bieber.
legend. Yeah.
Oh, I thought maybe it was Bieber after Justin. I wasn't sure.
Oh, no. This was 30 odd years ago. Yeah. But yeah, we have fireworks just for very different reasons. We have fireworks to celebrate a guy that failed to blow up the Houses of Parliament.
Have they made a movie about that? It sounds fascinating.
Yeah, it's in V for Vendetta. They talk about it. The gunpowder treason and plot. Is that right?
Interesting.
Yeah, well, we'll have to get some listener information and see if anyone else knows what I'm talking about. I'm sure my version of the story is missing some key parts as well. That tends to be how my stories go.
We'll have to look it up afterwards. I'll put a nice little graphic up or something.
There you go.
There we go.
But yeah, I'm not familiar with that. Not that I'd be super familiar with it, but I follow some of your strange UK things, like the
mine specifically. I do have some strange
not you specifically, but sorry, Parliament. With the dude that comes in and pounds on the door and they shut the door in his face, and then the whole pomp and circumstance with the king and also whatever.
You probably know more than I do about that.
The opening of it has to do with the opening of Parliament. I don't know, YouTube, man, you get down a rabbit hole and it's like weird superstitions. I guess it's not superstition. What is it called? Traditions, that's it. Traditions. Superstitions makes it sound negative. This is a tradition, which is not to rag on the UK. I'm sure we have plenty of stupid stuff over here.
Yeah, I mean, that one doesn't make sense 400 and something years later, but it's a fun night. It's always a little bit cold. People go out in hats and gloves and watch fireworks and stand around a bonfire. It's great fun. There you go.
Interesting.
Traditions.
Perfect. So, Mike, what's our topic for today?
I think we're talking about what makes a great story, whether it's movies, books, games, even podcasts today, right? Like they're bigger. So what makes a good story, and why does it stay with us? Why does a good story stay with us for decades and other stories don't stick with us very often?
I feel like off the back of Robert's story, there's a great answer to that. The emotional side of it, when you are told a story or you watch a story and you go through those emotions, it's so understandable, relatable that I could see this cat in the bed, worried about it. I want to know the answer. I want to know the conclusion. That was a great version of a story, or example of a good story.
That's a great point, Ruby. I think that's what it is. It's at its simplest, the simplest answer is that it's identifiable. Right? There's something you relate to.
It's true. Or
that you feel compassion for, or fear for, or happiness for the characters going through the story. It's an interesting, when you had said, when you had sent us that this was the topic, I was almost going to say I'm going to sit this one out because a lot of it for me is just instinctual. I don't give it a lot of conscious thought about what makes a good story. So much of it is subconscious, just from being a consumer of books and games and movies and TV and just all those things all your life. It's just something you inherently feel what makes a good story. So it is an interesting question to analyze it. But I totally agree, Ruby, because the first thing that came to my mind was, well, it is ultimately something that we feel that we relate to in some way. It's something that we either wish for ourselves, it's kind of wish fulfillment, or it's a fear that we want to avoid, or it's in people going through situations that we've been through or don't want to go through or wish we could go through. It's always some relatability, but I guess that's more concept, right? Again, I was trying to break it down. This is why I was I'm going to set it out because, so is that concept versus story? Are we talking about what makes a good story about the mechanics of a story, like a 3-act structure of a film? Are we talking about just in the broad terms of what makes, like you're saying, it could be just someone talking about their cat nearly being cut in half by a hide-a-bed, or are we talking more about a full-blown movie story? I watched Obsession this weekend.
Oh, you did?
I did, yeah.
How was it?
So have we all seen it?
No.
I have not seen it yet.
Oh, none of you have seen it? I'm shocked. I thought I'd be the only one.
I don't do scary films. I have a vivid imagination and I get very scared. So I'm
not going to, no spoilers. I don't want
spoil it.
Well, I won't do anything more than what you already know from the trailer. I won't talk any more to it, but that is like wish fulfillment. Now that movie has made $400 million at this point worldwide.
Wow.
400 million.
Someone's wish came true.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
No kidding. It cost 750,000.
Wow.
But yeah, there's a number of components. There's the wish fulfillment aspect. Like, who hasn't felt that emotion of being so in love with someone and all you want is for that love to be reciprocated? It's the only wish you have. And so it's simple, and we could all relate to that emotion. And so the wish fulfillment is, if I could wish that she or he loved me as much as I love them, or even more than anyone else in the world, which is the wish. And then that gets, turned on its head. It was incredibly well executed. And there were a number of different factors. I was talking to my son about it, and I think it had another thing that made a great story element of it was it did what Smile did. And Smile was another huge kind of breakout hit that was made for nothing in terms of, relative cost. It takes something that's a positive, right? So a smile, someone smiling at you, a happiness, something that makes us feel safe and secure and that we want to see. And it makes it a negative. It makes it something to fear, much like the love of and reciprocation of love from someone else is a positive thing. But it took that emotion and made it unsafe and something that turned it on its head. It's like a super clever way of exploring kind of those emotions. And frankly, it's kind of screwed up. It kind of messes with you. I remember a long time after seeing Smile, like if people would smile at you like just a little bit too much or too long, you get creeped out, which is horrible. Like what kind of movie makes you feel upset about being smiling or being smiled at? But it was very effective. Anyway.
So you mentioned that, which is a great point that I was thinking. So people always tend to bitch about, this show or this movie has the same tropes that we always see. Well, isn't that because people crave that? If it's a common trope, it's because we want to relate to it. So, like, is it really a bad thing to reuse those tropes? Am I saying it right? Whatever the hell the word is.
No.
Yeah, like, it just dawns on me. People always get like, oh, God, it has the same one. They're all the same. And I was like, yes, but that's what we like. So why wouldn't I? Yes, I will be the first to say I don't like 8 movies that are exactly the same coming out at the same time. I don't like that either. But I also sit there and go, but I like a certain type of movie, so of course I want to see the same things over and over again. Like,
yes, that's a great point. And I think what the films do that use, like you're saying, a trope or something that seems familiar is they kind of turn it on its head in some way. Like Breaking Bad, which I don't know, Ruben, if you've seen Breaking Bad.
Yeah. A couple of times.
Yeah, but Mike,
whole way through.
Derek and I are big fans of it. Obviously, that's not something you really relate to as far as a science teacher that goes to making meth, turns to making meth. But you do relate to the emotion of wanting to provide for your family, right? Like he's trying to do something good. And what extremes would you go to as a father, as a mother for your family? So that you relate to, and you kind of say, you root for him because his reasons for doing something, his motives are positive. So I think that's taking
behind it.
Yeah,
you can relate to the meaning of like the why he goes out to earn that money, and then like it's it's relatable in how real they make it with the family dynamic as well in something like Breaking Bad, isn't it?
Oh, so good. And so that's that's what he brought that was so unique about the show, right?
Right.
Was how he provided and what he did and what a mess it got him into and how he couldn't get out of it. So I do think, it's interesting.
And I agree with that. It's how you get there, because that's why people always get mad at me, because I'm the type of person that I'll read how a movie ends. People get really pissed at me, and because they're like, "Why would you do that?" And I was like, "Well, I don't always do it, but when I do it, I couldn't tell you why I decide to do it. But then I don't not enjoy the movie any less than they do, because I enjoy seeing how they got there. So knowing how something ends doesn't bother me. It might bother other people. Everybody's unique. But like, I enjoy the journey getting there. So I can appreciate that we can reuse the same things, but explore different ways of getting there. And that's what, can make it continue to be entertaining. Yeah. But I think you have to repeat those things in order to, as the topic says, why doesn't it disappear? Why does it resonate? Well, very shows or something that's very time-based, like you're only going to get at this point in time because its plot isn't timeless, is going to go away. But you can watch, I don't know, classics, Dirty Dancing, I don't know, just, any type romantic comedies. Like, you can bring up Sleepless in Seattle now, and even though, yes, I can't even remember if Tom Hanks even has a cell phone in that movie or something like that, but it's fine. There's an outdated flip phone or no flip phone at all, but I still enjoy it. It's still timeless, It's
because it's a timeless story.
Yeah.
Or it's like, for me, because I was in 8th grade when this film came out, E.T.
Okay.
Oh my God. I mean, I love that movie, but because it was about a boy and his dog, right? As a child, you had a pet, you've lost a pet, you love this pet, it loves you, it's unconditional. You feel like you're kind of its parent, and then you've got to put it down or whatever that is. There was a show called, what was that movie? Old Yeller, even when I was super young, sad. E.T. in a sense is a boy and his dog. In fact, I think that might have been the working title, like that they gave it to throw people off. But unique in the sense of who the characters are, and of course the addition of the story of the alien aspect. And as far as like you're talking rom-coms, Mike, we've talked about this. My favorite is The Goodbye Girl. It came out in 1977. It's still my favorite. You can watch it; totally works. Richard Dreyfuss and Marcia Mason, written by Neil Simon. Just it's about relationships and something you relate to, and feelings, emotions you relate to. Mike, what do you think makes a good story?
Gosh, it's tough. Yeah, I think everything that you guys are talking about, I think a good story is something that everybody can relate to, of course, as you're saying. And then I think what sticks with people is the way that you execute against it. And what I was thinking about too, like, it's very interesting to think about a story on a page, right? Like reading a book is one thing, and then even reading a screenplay, or like you, Robert, seeing a screenplay executed in your head as you're writing it. But then we talk about something like Breaking Bad and all the dynamics that happen on screen and in music and in lighting, and in the way that is a whole storytelling process in and of itself, which is always so fascinating, right? Like, the music heightens the scene, and the way that the actors portray something, really can elevate a scene. And I think it's so interesting to think about those as story elements in and of themselves. It's not just necessarily words on a page.
And I'm glad you pointed that out, because I was thinking very one-dimensionally about this story being the script, the thing on the page, not those other elements. But you're absolutely right. Those play into the story. No offense, Robert, as a writer, but those other elements play in, just as much. Which
I protest.
But my question to you, and
are we talking about what makes a good film, Derek? Or are we talking about what makes a good story?
Well, it adds to the story.
I would argue that what Mike's saying is what makes a good film.
Okay, fair enough.
I agree. I completely agree. Yes,
I'm just being a writer. You see.
But
where the written word is everything.
Well, the writing is the big part of the story. This is it's the key thing.
But you can have a great story, a great script, and it could be ruined by all those elements. You can have a decent. I don't know if the opposite is true. Probably, you probably have a decent script that's made. I don't know that you would have a hit off of like a so-so script, but you could absolutely have an amazing script and have it ruined by poor.
Oh yeah.
I think it could be obviously. I mean, talking about Obsession, if you guys see it, the actress is everything. I mean, that plays the lead in that. A miscast of that role, it would have been a very different outcome. It would have been comical. I think it would have been laughed at. She was so good in the execution of what was a solid story, but the wrong person in that role could have absolutely could have been a disaster.
I think there's a whole other side of what makes a good story too, for like the type of films I like to watch. So you think of like Lord of the Rings as a story, like the book itself and the like escapism within it. And then you watch the movies and there's not like maybe there is a character relatability of like the dynamics between them. But for that, it's the adventure and it's the excitement. And then it's more on the emotional side for me when I watch something and think that was a good story, rather than I feel like I'm like that character, or I understand the dynamic of different elves and dwarves, right? It's like maybe there is, again, you pull it back to dynamics you have with other people in different situations, but I think part of it is the fact that it doesn't exist, the real sort of fantasy, the world that it can immerse you into, and you watch a good movie or really good book, the like imagination goes wild.
That's a great point, because it's like Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's not you don't really identify with Indiana Jones. I don't.
I'm sure. I think everyone does. Like your ET story, I reckon it's like you watch it and you're like, "There's a bit of Indiana Jones in there." Yeah,
maybe like a wish fulfillment.
Get your whip
like
out.
How awesome would that be? Yeah, but I would be dead within the first 5 minutes. Like those guys coming out after me, the tribesmen with the darts. I wouldn't make it to the plane. It'd be over. Or the boulder. I'd be squished. So, but yeah, no, but that's interesting. Star Wars is like my all-time.
There you go. Yeah.
And that's, so fantastical. And it immerses you in a world that's so unfamiliar. But the difference between, Battlestar Galactica and Star Wars, excuse me to all the Battlestar Galactica fans, is Star Wars had a really solid story. Maybe a story old as time. Maybe it's a Western dressed in sci-fi, whatever. But it worked. It's the power of myth and all that. But it is interesting when you brought up the topic, kind of exploring the nuts and bolts of it, because I think it is a question also that is elusive in the sense that I think we can all speak to, and I'm sure there's people who have master's degrees and PhDs in story. But if it were that easy, everybody would, if you could get your PhD in story and there was a formula, then everything would be amazing. And as we know, it's not. So it is elusive.
Would you believe that all good, you might not be the most, let's say you're a person, you're just like, I want to tell a story. You don't know the rules and structure of how a story goes, but do you believe, well, any of you, believe that innately, if a person tells a good story, it's going to end up following those mechanics that they teach anyway? Even if you weren't setting out to do it, it has to follow that. Or could you think of an example where a story didn't follow those mechanics and still succeeded? Because I don't.
Everything comes down to those same mechanics, though, doesn't it? I remember having a conversation when I first moved to the States, and everyone was telling me what those components are of every film, every story that you can ever have. It's man versus self, man versus man, etc.
Yes,
We was trying to think of a single story, single movie, whatever it was that could break that, and there isn't one that we could think of, and I'm sure maybe, Robert, you've got a more eclectic library of things that you could think of, but it feels like everything falls back to those same components. I
agree. There isn't one that works. Let's put it that way. I mean, people have attempted it, but then it becomes kind of like esoteric filmmaking. And
I was going to say there might be something that does okay because they consider it art, where it goes against those and like it doesn't resolve itself at the end. But the only reason you appreciate it is because of its novelty. It's not actually. I mean, I get. But then that goes to a good point. Like, if you break that, where you don't have that third act that resolves it, I can't really think of a good one. But let's say someone did do it, but then label it.
I don't think they have. I think that's why you can't think of one.
Yeah, but I was just wondering, like, if you could, where you couldn't label it as really complete, and it just, I was like, well, because you don't necessarily need to you need a resolve, but it doesn't necessarily need to be the one you think of. Because I automatically think of The Sopranos and go, well, shit, they didn't resolve anything. It fades to black and the thing ends. But that's a resolve, just not the one most people want.
It's not a popular one, right? Because it doesn't follow certain conventions.
Spoiler
I'd
alert.
be curious. Anyone who's listening in comments, like if you could think of one that was commercially successful that didn't follow kind of that paradigm, and whether it's Save the Cat, which breaks it down a certain way, or when I was coming up, it was a Sid Field screenplay, which broke it into acts and plot points. Power of story, myth, like all those things. They're basically the same thing broken down in different ways, but there is kind of a formula that I think either you can follow based on reading the formula, and or just my approach is always it's just instinctual, and then I put it against the formula. Like if something's not working for me, or I'm like the story's not working, or it's why am I getting lost in this part? Then I'll lay it on top of Sid Field or Save the Cat or whatever, and go, oh, okay, that's where it's not quite lining up, and that tends to kind of iron out the wrinkles.
Robert, when you think of writing as an art form, do you think of it as storytelling? or do you
I do.
label it something different? So when
I
you
do.
approach it, what kind of things are you considering as part of telling a good story?
That's a great question. 9 times out of 10 for me, the inception of an idea or a story is a what if. Growing up, I loved the Twilight Zone. It was like my favorite series. Like on Thanksgiving, they had the Twilight Zone marathon. It'd be like 24 hours of the Twilight Zone. And I just loved the what if scenario, like, and these twists that Rod Serling would come up with. So for me, the story always begins. Now, some writers, it begins with character, it begins with a scenario, it begins with a certain situation. I'm always a what if person, So that's where it starts with me. And then from that initial kind of high concept, which it usually is, I work my way outward, like to who's the character that's involved? Who would be involved in the what if scenario? How does that play out? What's the twist? What's the second act? How does it resolve? That's usually how I approach it, but that's just me. I just love those obsessions. I love the concept. Like, what if you were deeply in love with someone who wasn't in love with you, and you made a wish that they loved you more than any person on earth, and it goes wrong. Like, what if that happened? That's a great way in. Everybody gets it. It's like an easy, I didn't even pitch it well, but that's like an easy get,
Derek and Mike, where would you start if you're thinking about like what goes? I guess you can apply it to so many different scenarios. Even when you're telling a story, you're reenacting something that happened, or you're sharing an experience, or if you're making a production or an episode or something. Where do you start when you think of what goes into a good story?
Yeah, for me, I think it's the spark of the idea. And to Robert, what he was saying is kind of peeling back those layers. What I try to do is get to the end. Like with everything that I'm doing, I'm trying to get to the end, and that's probably not the best approach in a lot of things. But I'm like, what is that ending? And then let me work backwards from what that ending is to get to the concept of the idea that I'm thinking of. Do you like? That's a question for you, Robert. Like when you're writing your scripts, do you think of the ending even top of mind, or are you pulling back each phase as you go along and asking what if to get to the best ending?
Yeah, I don't usually work backwards. I usually, like you're saying, it's a series of what ifs and forks in the road, that you take, and you try and take the road less traveled if you can. So it's not super predictable without kind of veering so far off that it doesn't follow kind of the standard norm of storytelling. But yeah, it's an exceptionally difficult process considering that it's been done so many times, like that there is a formula. There's a general formula that you follow, but it's still so hard because there are a million choices. You can take a million different directions, and there's no right choice. There's some that are less effective than others. But yeah, it's an interesting process. And Ruby, to what you're saying, that is interesting because even, we know people who will tell you just a story about their weekend or about their life that are so good at it. They may not be writers, but they're storytellers in the sense that they can, stand-ups are great at doing that, kind of setting up and resolving and doing all those things without it being too long, too short. Like it is an art. Definitely. Storytelling in different forms, whether it's verbal, written.
Yeah. It was one of the first things that I thought of with the question when you first raised it, Mike, was around comedians and how effective storytelling can be when it's given with humor. And a lot of the time it's when you have that relatability again, they set the scene and you're really there with them and you're like immersed into the story. And then I think what makes it funny is you're kind of trying to predict what happens and then you normally get caught off guard. But there's still an emotional connection to that for me, especially when I'm watching something, like you get pulled into it, whether again it's verbal or whether you're reading it or whether you're watching it. Comedians are good storytellers, I think. Good comedians are good storytellers.
Yes. And another art form of storytelling is the pitch for writers. We have to go in and pitch rather than writing out the entire screenplay. They'll go into studios and producers and pitch it. I prefer not to do it because I'm not great at it. I have some very good friends, Todd and Richie Jones, who are amazing at it. They're amazing at it. They're amazing in a room. And every opportunity, every pitch they have, they're honing it. Like they're measuring the reaction of their audience and what worked and what didn't and where it lagged and the questions
That's
people
cool.
had and what was confusing. And each time it gets better and better and better. By the time they pitched it, I think the film they made, it was called Johnson's Family Vacation. It was for Fox Searchlight. I think that was their 20th pitch. It was something like that. And it was markedly different from the first one. And they had incorporated all the notes and changes all the way up until it was like basically flawless. And they would rehearse with me. They'd run it by me. And it's just, they're a team, they're brothers. And they would just have this whole, it was so entertaining. I can see why I wish I had that skill. I don't. I'd rather write something on the page. I'd rather spend 2 weeks than just, 3 weeks and write it, because it's just as much work. We have this conversation all the time. We should have them on. If they'd agree to come on, it'd be amazing. We have this conversation all the time. It's just as much work what they're doing. I mean, to pitch something to that degree of detail to sell to a studio, you have to have nearly every beat of the first, the second, and third act worked out. You're then getting notes, you're reincorporating them, you're changing your thing, you're rehearsing, you're memorizing. It's hours and hours. It's absolutely the same amount of time it takes me to write a draft. Now, their argument is, yeah, but you write a draft without the benefit of any feedback. So you're now coming out with something that hasn't been heard, you haven't tested it, and you're kind of rolling the dice. We, along the way, are getting notes. Oh, that's not working for them. Oh, that's the third person that said this isn't correct. We course adjust. So for each pitch, it's a new opportunity to kind of get the best version of that story that we can put in front of somebody. I'm a little more like, well, I don't care. I want to tell my story. I want, it's a little bit of which then ends up in something that doesn't sell. Because
they're subscribed to the idea that we want that feedback, and they'll get a better reception because a pitch feels more collaborative. A script feels very finite. So if you go in with a script, it can scare people because they think it's so finite. And for you, you feel it more finite. I've told my story. Now, if you want to change it, I'll take your good feedback, but I don't want your bad feedback. Those guys are just much more receptive to collaboration with their story.
Absolutely. And studios will tend to say, oh, the third act doesn't work. Pass. Well, wait a minute. You love the concept. You love the first and second act. We can work on the third act. They're more likely to pass on a script for whatever reason than a pitch. Whereas a pitch will say, oh, we love everything, but the third act, can you retool this? Can you do this? Yeah, we'll come back in. It's just not a skill set I have. I just don't have. You have to be part performer to do it. And I'm not even a quarter performer. So it just would not. It's
like what we were saying earlier. It's like all the elements have to come together for it to be successful. If you have the same story and someone else was there, like I'm sure if the four of us were to try and pitch something, like maybe one of it would go through, but it would all depend on who's selling it, like who's who's believable, who's really like captivating. Yeah, that performance. Is so
it's
important.
all that. It's all that. And I'm not now. I'm switching gears. I'm not talking about Todd Ritchie, but there's people who are incredibly talented at pitching and can sell an idea in the room, and then the script's terrible. And so they're two different skill sets, and it's few people that are able to do both, pitch something well and execute well. It's two different skills. So you could be great at kind of conceiving a story that works, but are you capable and talented at executing that story?
It'd be great to do a future episode with them where we can talk about the pitch, like what makes a good pitch, as well as.
Oh, they'd be so good. They're a little, they're not on social media. They're just not
perfect. That's ideal.
They might do it. I don't know. We'll see. I might be able to convince them.
That'd be amazing.
We're
developing
something right now.
Oh, maybe there's a secret squirrel. We can drop some little tidbits in. I think how many different talk about the different roles in the industry, like how many different components there are to making something. There's so much more upstream that a lot of people wouldn't even think of. Like actually
there's too many, Ruby.
Selling a pitch and getting the investment is a huge part of it.
There's too frickin' many.
Robert, you seem to have perfected all of them, so you need to share your wealth of knowledge with everyone.
I'll tell you what. Anyway, don't get me started. Do not get me started. It's so frustrating. I wish I was born like 30 years prior. There was a time long before where studios did not note to the degree they do now. Studios, producers, etc. did not note scripts the way they do now. On Pray for the Devil, I did 19 drafts, and that's from the. And I'll walk you through it. I'm not saying there weren't things that made it better, notes that made it better. I'm not saying that, but so I do my first draft. Then there's the initial producers on the project. I did a draft. Notes based on my first draft. I did a second draft. It then went out to the town, which that's pretty quick to only do 2 drafts before it goes out on the town. Then the Gold Circle picked it up, optioned it. I did a round of notes for Gold Circle. Then I did a round of notes on the notes for Gold Circle. Then they went out and it got picked up by Lionsgate. Then I did a round of notes for Lionsgate. Then I did a round of notes for Lionsgate, round of notes for on the notes, round of notes on the notes on the notes on the notes. 19. Then they bring on a director. I do a round of notes for the director. I do a round of notes for the notes for the director. Then the director quits. Then they bring on the new director. Then they bring on a female. This is previous. I'm running out of the timeline here. But then they bring on a female writer to do a complete pass on it. They don't end up using her draft. They bring me back on. So they give me the notes they gave the female writer to do. Gosh. Anyways, 19 drafts later. So there was a time. And from what I've heard, correct me if I'm wrong, Internet, the first film where the studio noted it, and then it was a huge success, which then kind of spawned the era of development execs and producers and executive assistants and assistants to the assistants and on and on and on, was Footloose.
Oh.
So apparently that was the first film, and I believe it was Michael Eisner when he was at Paramount. They initiated the process of noting the script, and it was a huge success. They're like, hey, this works.
Interesting.
And I think it kind of proliferated through the industry. So now you definitely, the script I'm working on now, we're on round 3 of a draft with the producers before it's even gone out to talent, or, then you maybe have to take agent notes, or you have to take your manager's notes, or you have to take, it's just infinite. And then there's the studio that has notes. Then there's the actress, the director, the gardener that it gets crazy.
It's really important across all of that, though. It's a really good story to know about what goes into it. Just hearing about it, learning something like that, being a story in itself is great.
And it's not this. Here's the thing. I'm saying too much, Ruby. But here's the thing. It's just necessary. Unfortunately, it's just what you have to do. But when I first got into business, and I've talked about Matt Williams before, who created Roseanne, he created Home Improvement. I remember him saying, as a writer, if you want your words as written to be performed, become a playwright. Because the writer is king. They will not touch a word without your approval. If you want to be in TV, and it's less so, actually, they're a little more respectful of the writer in TV, oddly, than film. But if you want to be in TV or film, you have to, unless you're financing it and you're not cutting the check, then you're going to have to get used to taking notes. So, I mean, there is that. They're investing, they're putting the money, they're putting tens of millions of dollars behind your idea. So they feel like they should be able to give you notes, and they're not wrong. But as an artiste, you always feel like, but it's my story, but you give that up. That's why I like to do the spec. That's why I don't like to pitch, because I can, at least that first draft is pure me. That is if I had my choice. Not that it doesn't need work or changes, but that's the rawest my idea is ever going to be. After that, then it's everybody else's. It's a collaboration.
Do you ever get, with the notes that you get back, or when someone's looked for a script before they give a pitch, their interpretation of it, do they try and sell you their pitch first? Like, do they say, here's my translation of what I read? Like, that becomes a bit of a story in itself, as how that lands on with someone, right? For them to read through your script.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Do you make adjustments off the back of that? You're like, oh, you totally got the wrong theme there, or...
Yeah, that happens. It happened recently, where there was just a complete, I think it's so clear in my head, but it wasn't to them, and they were confused and they thought it was something that it wasn't. And I'm like, but it's right there. Like how could you not see it? It's like, I don't say this, but it's like, actually I kind of did say it, but, then that leads to a tense moment. The thing is, you have to, they're the audience at that point. That's your audience of 1 or 3, and you have to make it work, the story work for them, and hope that it also translates to the story for the millions of other people.
But you also have to hope that they really are interpreting it for the masses and not with their own ego, because they should be asking you, what am I missing? Not you're missing this. It's what am
that's a good point.
If they're a good, and I know your experience, may not have been, but if you're going to be that person, you need to come at it from the, what am I missing? Tell me what you're seeing that I'm not. And I think
what your intention was, or what.
Yeah. And then, because they are your first consumers, so you're like, oh, well, shit, if this first person didn't get it, maybe it's not as clear, or it's just not in the written word. And that's my biggest problem with scripts, and I know I need to probably read more of them to get better at that, but like I just like, it's so hard to read a script, whereas you read a book, you see everybody's inner monologue, there's the description so wrought with the details. When you read a script, it's just harder for me to read. It's all dialogue. It's not all dialogue. You put scene descriptions and stuff in there, but it's just so much harder for me to read.
They are hard to read. It is, because a lot is left to your imagination, and some people just aren't. That's not their thing. And Derek, I know you've read a lot of my scripts. I'm much more verbose in my scene description than I think is the current trend. Like, I should send you something that is like so sparse. I'd be curious what you think. If you think it's better for you, like, is it easier
probably
because
not, but
or worse? Because literally, I'm thinking of that script Cobweb, Mike, that sold around the same time that mine did. It is the most. They didn't even use punctuation. It's just like, it almost looks like someone texting as far as the scene description. But people loved it because it was an easy read. It kind of flowed real fast. You didn't have to like kind of be picturing a million things in your head. Yeah, it's an interesting process, Ruby. To say the least.
Do you think, Robert, that the 19 drafts you're saying, and that's pretty common, I think, for this process now. Do you think, though, that through those 19 drafts that you do, that, and all the opinions that you're getting, which, like we've said, are probably well-intentioned, and they're doing the research and they're doing the things that they need to do to get feedback and process their thoughts. But do you think that waters something down, or actually, in some cases, not every draft, like you're saying, some of these drafts make it better, but like, are there notes that you get where you're like, no, this is absolutely making this not better. This is I'm drawing the line in the sand. This is not making this better.
That was my early reaction when I was less skilled at implementing notes. Now I don't feel like there's a note I can get that I can't make work in a way that I'm happy with, that will make them feel heard, but that I don't feel like lessens the script. But that's after 25 years of writing. Like, yes, initially I would just be like, that's going to ruin the script. That's a terrible note. That's not going to work, because I didn't know how to do it. Execute it in a way that wouldn't ruin it. You know what I mean? Now I've gotten to the point where I can hear, I'd say the past 5 years, there's not a note I hear. I may not agree with the note. I may not think it's a great note, but eventually I'll figure out a way to execute it where they'll feel like the note was addressed, but it either is a even trade, doesn't make it worse, or it makes it a little better in some way in my head. I think Pray for the Devil, I think the biggest issue with that wasn't the notes. It's that it went from R to PG-13. Like, if I had to critique that, I think by going to PG-13, we lost a lot of the great stuff in the horror.
Yeah.
But that can't be surmounted. That's not a note. That's just what it is. But yeah, I've gotten better at it. I think people, if you just do what they say is the spirit of the note, if you don't take the note verbatim, because sometimes they're giving you a note, a specific, but really they don't want you to do that specific fix. It's just the spirit of the note. Like, what is it about that? Why did they give me that note? What are they having issues with? And then you can implement a way. And I've also learned to write their notes down. And then when I turn in the draft, turn in a document with those notes where I say, here's how I addressed your note. And if there's a note I don't do, I'll say, here's why I didn't do it. Here's the thought I gave it. Here's why I think it doesn't work. And I found that really helps, because they feel like, oh, he considered it. He heard it. Here's his logic behind it. rarely have I had someone come back and say, "Well, we still want you to do the note."
Yeah, that is so true, because, and it's been my experience, and it's been, it was such a hump for me to get over, because when I first started, when I switched from becoming an accountant to try and get in, when I started working this, I started out in like QC, which not the traditional QC, but it was for educational stuff. So I was literally counting fingers on people and making sure these educational notes got addressed, because it was an educational platform, which you guys all know. And so it was very literal. These notes were literal. When I switched gears to Tom and Jerry and the other projects I worked on, it was a huge thing I had to get over with addressing notes when the director, I relayed the notes and he's like, "I'll do this." And I'm sitting there thinking, that doesn't address that note. That's not what they said. But like you said, he knew the spirit of the note. He fixed that. And the executive in the meeting, I'm sitting there going, "Oh God, what am I going to?" And the guy's like, "Oh, that's great. Yeah, go for it." I'm like, "What the hell? That's not, that's not what you said." So I'm like going like, "Well, what the hell do I know then?" It's a skill you need to learn. And for me, it took me a while to get over that, because I started with that very literal, those notes were to the point, and you obviously, Robert, experienced that too with the work you do there. Sometimes they really do mean them in that world, in the educational world, but in the true creative world, the spirit.
It's a little more of a gray line. But I mean, you all encounter it just in. I mean, we call it notes on a script, but when you get feedback on your job or some criticism of your work in your jobs, it's the same thing. It's hard not to get defensive. At least it is for me. Like if someone comes to you, Ruby, and say, "You need to do X, Y, Z," or "You're not quite performing here," or it's just very difficult not to get prickly.
I feel like I'm maybe an outlier, because I would prefer to be critiqued and have criticism. I'm like, okay, I know how to be better. Like I'm the opposite. I'm not uncomfortable with praise. If everyone's nice, I'm like, "No, tell me what I'm doing wrong."
Oh no,
Robert, you're doing such a great job.
I'm the same way.
I want the criticism because I want to know before you fire me. But I feel exactly like what Robert said, where my initial gut reaction is, especially if they didn't deliver it right. If they deliver it well, it's fine. But if they don't, I have to take time to process and go, "Oh, this is what they meant. They weren't actually insulting me. They were trying to help me." Yeah. But I agree with you. I want that feedback. It is hard to. I will say it's hard for me to take, and I appreciate anybody that can take it on the spot better. I mean, I will. In the meeting, whatever you want, but then I'll go and get pissy about it and have a drink, and then I'll be like, "You know what? They're right." But it takes me going and thinking about it to go, "You know what? They're right." In the moment, I do feel that same
emotion. Well, I think I'm a sucker for the compliment sandwich. Like I don't care if I know what you're doing. I don't care if it's a Jedi mind trick. It works on me. Like, can you just say something positive? Give me a critique, and then then finish with something positive. Maybe they, again, I'm sure they think, "Look, we're paying you X number of dollars, and we don't need to baby you." But come on now, just be, it would help.
Be human and give the
I don't think they realize, or maybe they don't care, how much you put into something, that it is an art form, and you are really telling something from your heart, and it's taken a lot of sweat equity and time, and you feel it's like literally, this is the oldest cliche in the world, but it's like literally showing your baby to the world and going,
Yeah, I don't think I could do that.
The ears are kind of big,
it's
but
vulnerable,
the nose
right?
is cute, right? It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Like little plastic, it's just, it's tough. I've gotten much better at it, but
conversely, we got a little. Well, what I don't want to hear though, with the baby thing is, "Oh my God, that's the cutest baby I've ever seen." Because then I'm going, "You are full of shit," because that is not true. I just want you to tell me it's acceptable, and maybe you can tell me it's above acceptable. It's very good. But don't sit there and blow smoke up my ass. I'm sorry.
They can blow smoke all day long. You can give me a smoked old fashioned.
No. I do love a good smoked old fashioned, but don't blow it up my ass. That's my thing with the.
No one's ever done it, but I would not protest.
It just
I'm easy
doesn't,
that
it
way.
doesn't land on me. The lip service. And just get to the
Oh,
point.
I
that-
love lip service.
Nah, it's-
Oh, no.
just get to
No,
the
no.
point. What do you want? What do
What's
you
the
want? What
truth?
can
Yeah,
I do
I guess
differently?
I'm
Yeah,
too
just
I
be
guess I
direct.
can't handle the truth.
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson was right.
Jack Nicholson, I was just going to say.
He was absolutely right. Anyways, I guess we've veered off a little bit from what makes a good story, but
Okay, made a good
I think
story.
it's good.
So
yeah,
cool.
Yeah, this is
that's
great.
right.
Well, we're approaching the time here.
Yes.
Do we have a closing thought? There is something, and this will be
Yeah,
a topic. No.
Okay.
Unfortunately, Robert. I want to make this a longer one and a future one because it was a comment you had said, and I'll tease it
Uh-oh.
because I don't know that we want to get into it. But it had to do with the one show, and it was your opinion on on nudity in TV shows as to whether it's a cheap cop out or it can be done well. And I actually probably just want to make that a whole. I could be not a whole episode. I don't want to talk about nudity for a whole episode. But your reaction to it really got me fired up because I know how much you disliked that Emma or not Emma. What's her name? No, it is Emma. Emma. What the hell's her name? Poor Things.
Who do I dislike?
That Poor Things movie.
Oh, I
You
dislike
really
the
didn't
film.
Like that. Yes, you don't
No.
dislike her, but you dislike the
No,
film.
it's just great.
But
Emma Stone.
yeah,
Well,
Emma
Emma
Stone.
Stone.
But
You didn't like
there
it?
a
Was
lot
she
of
naked
weird-
in it?
Yeah,
Was she
quite a
naked in
bit. Yeah, there was.
I just didn't like that movie.
Well, you didn't like the movie, but when we were talking, I think offline, you had a whole opinion on that, and you kind of
Sure
made
I did.
an opinion about that it felt lazy, and I was like, oh, that's an interesting take, and I thought about it so much.
It is
more.
lazy. It is
Okay,
lazy.
see, that's why I want it to be a whole episode.
Don't
So
get
I
me
don't want
started.
to end on that, but
Studio notes and nudity. Lazy. Unnecessary. They're both unnecessary.
Studio notes. I'll agree with you on the nudity part.
You don't need it. Listen, the first of all, I wasn't born in the 30s, but the 30s, the 40s, you get the gist. We go to the blowing curtains in the wind. We know what's happening. We've all done it. We've all been there. We've all seen it. I don't have to. I don't. It brings nothing. It adds nothing.
Well, now
It's
this
lazy.
jazzes
It's like
me up
gore.
so
It's
much
like too much gore in
Okay, I'm glad you
horror.
related
It's
to
exact
that.
same.
Yeah,
to
that's
me,
a great
it's the exact
comparison.
same comparison. Do we
Okay,
need to
it's a
see
great
head?
comparison.
No, we just need to. Anyway, yes.
And that, if we can relate that to good storytelling, I think you're right, Robert, because that just fills time. It just sex fills time.
Yes. Yeah.
All this
It's like I
extra
don't have a
gore just
strong enough
fills time. It's
story.
not servicing the story.
I'm going to razzle dazzle you with razzle dazzle, whether that's gore or nudity
Blood.
or sex. Yeah, whatever it is. It's like,
But you don't think that.
no.
But my
Derek's
my
like, I
one
just want
thing
everyone
would
to be naked all the time. Let him have his argument.
Right.
I don't want that. But there was a scene, and I'm going to go back to because I love
Okay,
off
go back
campus.
to it.
There was a scene
Here
in
we go.
off campus where
I
no,
knew
not
he was
that
gonna
one, not the
mention
one you
off-campus.
think I'm going to talk about. There's another
Tops
scene
off campus.
early in the show where it's the two main girls, and the one girl comes home from work, and she is talking to the lead girl, and as she's walking into her part of the room, she takes off her shirt. Now, it's completely unnecessary. She would not have needed to do that. But there are so many people that I saw in comments on boards that said that is totally something that real
Okay,
girlfriends in college would
Sure.
do, and they're
Right.
like, that feels
Answer
so
me this.
real to me.
Fine,
but it's unnecessary to the
No,
plot.
I'm not. But I'm not arguing that. But answer me this: was it shot so you saw her back?
No, you saw. Well, it was
Correct.
quick. You saw both.
Correct.
I mean, they
That's
obviously
my
were.
point.
Okay.
You could have done that if that's the beat. If you're arguing that that's what women do when they walk into their fucking dorm, take their shirts off for no freaking reason without a bra. Cool. Shoot it from behind, and we get it. Like there's no
Okay.
bra. It's her
Fair
back.
argument. Fair
I
argument.
just
Derek's
think
going to
it's
have to
lazy.
watch it again. Derek's going to have to go back.
Yeah,
just
freeze frame.
rewind
Yeah,
the
I'm
scene.
gonna have to
freeze
rewatch
back
that
through
scene
it, frame
just
by
for
frame.
that.
How long was it on? Frame by frame.
More front than back. Sorry.
This is
unacceptable.
research now that I have to do. No,
Yes,
that's
yes. You have your mission. But again, same with horror. Like there's sound effects. There's certain ways of shooting things. Do we need to see it all?
somebody's
in all
head
its splendor?
really explode that level.
Explode
yeah, okay,
in the
fair enough.
guts, and like I thought Obsession did a great job at that. A great job. I mean, there was okay. There's a couple things, but for the most part, just the way it was kind of shot and lit, it's almost, to me, it's scarier than seeing it, because then it just becomes gross. It's not scary.
Maybe I should watch it if it's not that scary.
Well,
is it scary? It's really scary.
Well, what do you consider? See, I don't know. I'm kind of immune.
Yeah, I am probably the worst person to.
What's like your what do you consider like the scariest movie you've seen, or like one that you think is really scary?
Oh my god! Most films that are like slightly scary, I'm like I'm a jump scare, like terrified.
There's not a ton of jump scares.
What about like? Do you know what I think of scary films? Is like House of Wax was one of the first ones that I remember.
Oh my gosh, Vincent Price!
Oh my god, it terrified me. Where he gets his like Achilles cut.
Yeah.
And then what's another one?
It might be a little scarier than House of Wax.
The Village. You ever watched that one with the guys on the big red thing? Like,
yeah.
I'm scared of everything. I'm scared of most things. Oh, maybe I'll watch it. Maybe that'll be a
but this is more Fatal Attraction.
Haven't seen
scary.
That. Maybe I'll add it to my list.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Okay, I have a watch list. I'll add it to it.
Yes, but you know, and we'll have to for next time, because I forgot we saw this over the weekend, which was Jackass Best and Last.
Oh, that'll be a great. That's a great topic too, as well. Future topic.
Well, maybe we could touch on it. But
it'll be a great intro. Yeah,
something being graphic.
Okay,
but that you would argue you do need to show, you know, because that's their
shtick.
Yeah, that's their shtick.
By the way,
but it was pretty.
Everyone will know this when we air this, but sadly, that game took a wild turn for the worse, and the U.S. got their asses handed to them 4-1. So that's it for that. Good for Belgium.
The U.S. is out.
Yep.
Oh, we're out.
That's all of the host nations. Damn. Yeah. I had a suspicion, which will be interesting by the time this comes out, that now that Canada, Mexico, and America are all out, that there'll be something that happens where it's like no one else can continue with this competition because America aren't in it anymore. And
we're just going to take our ball and go home.
Yeah. Cue the aliens or whoever is going to come. There'll be some big dramatic event. All stadiums are booked out for some sort of party. I don't know.
For what's her name's wedding? Taylor Swift's wedding.
Oh, God.
There you go.
Vow renewals.
That's what it will be. Well, we'll
Congratulations to Taylor Swift. Yeah, there we go. And Travis, Mr. Swift.
Mr. Swift. All right. I guess until next time, Derek, sign us off.
Yeah. So thanks everybody for listening and watching. We're excited to keep bringing you great content. Hopefully we can get some great guests on. I'm excited to see about maybe Todd Ritchie or just some other people. Excited to bring what we have coming down the pipeline this season. And check us out on the platform you're watching, or if you want to listen in the car, we'll be on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, and Spotify. Just pretty much anywhere you can consume media, check us out. So appreciate you all listening to us ramble, and we'll see you all next time.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.
Can we be frank?